Hey, welcome. So, for today's episode, I sat down with some good friends of mine.
John Lukey.
Sean Healy.
Eric Brombeck.
And together with a fourth friend of theirs named Jacob Mischke, they decided last summer to start a podcast.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the Sons of Thunder podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Sons of Thunder podcast.
You left us in suspense.
Yeah, this is...
And they didn't want to start a podcast just for the sake of starting a podcast. It all started from John watching YouTube videos.
We are big fans of motivational videos on YouTube, and we wanted a Christian and a Catholic version of it.
And so John called his friend Jacob.
We sat down one day in June outside of the Anderson Student Center, just rallied out some ideas, and then finally we brought in these two other guys.
And they in turn called up their friends Sean and Eric.
Had to be the core four, as Jake likes to put it. And it started with the vision of we needed to minister in some way to the youth, the men who had a vision in their hearts, they just needed to see it.
Yeah, and I remember when you called me, you talked about how like those motivational videos are really inspiring and like really moving and like really encouraging and whatnot, but like it just was never from a faith aspect. It was all kind of just this, just like physical gains, yada yada yada, and there's so much more about maybe the whole person that like these videos weren't touching on, and I think like that's just definitely a need as well.
And so they saw a great need for a real witness. They were trying to figure out, how do you live a life of committed faith as a college male? And at the same time, how do you still care about the things that are important to you? Things like working out, spending time with friends,
Wait.
and living a life of faith. And so they decided to start a podcast called Sons of Thunder to explore these questions. They took the name of their podcast from actually the nickname of two characters from the New Testament. They're two young men who wanted to just go for it, to go live a life of faith. So, in September 2017, they came out with the first episode of the podcast, which was centered around 3 pillars.
Yeah, I mean, so the 3 pillars are faith, fellowship, and fitness. We saw that these 3 things really kind of spoke to the heart of every man, of how every man desires brotherhood, every man desires kind of like a fellowship or companionship. And then, fitness, of course, whether that be, hitting the weights in the gym or anything from rollerblading to rock climbing to speed walking with your grandma, like whatever it is, but like the fitness aspect that like it speaks to the heart of every man, kind of like an adventure, like a fitness kind of like physical health, right? And then faith as the first one, as the root of all of it, how like fellowship, fitness, like anything in our lives like stems from faith and incorporating our faith into that.
And they didn't just choose these pillars because they sounded nice.
Well, we go to a pretty nice school, and the weight room is often chock full. We use chalk. But I think that's why we chose these passions, because a lot of men nowadays want to have that heroic journey, want to be physically and spiritually fit.
These 3 pillars are kind of something that we're all passionate about. And that's kind of what we wanted to do. We wanted to find something that we were passionate about and find something that would like kind of get us up in the morning.
And so they just decided to go for it with the podcast to move ahead. I asked them who their intended audience was.
The market for guys that we're trying to reach out to is kind of the people that we were our freshman year of college.
Totally.
For sure.
Because like we kind of, when we came up with this idea, we were like, oh, this would have been great when we were freshmen, just to have these guys show who they are, show that they're authentic, show that they're guys that like to work out, that like to do curls, that like to look good, that like to hang out with people, just all of these desires that we had, and like correctly order them.
And it is that authenticity that gets me. They're just normal college guys who know what they're passionate about. They have their joys and their struggles, And it is precisely those things that help them decide what to podcast about.
It's typically like a struggle or a victory in my life as a young man that I think, hey, like this is something I would have wanted to hear a week ago or 10 years ago. Typically a virtue, a vice, or this area of battle. What was our last one? Just happiness.
Happiness. They're normal guys who are talking about real, lived experience and how they're growing through that. I asked them whether or not they knew what they were getting into when they first started this podcast.
We've just been able to learn a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you can only learn by doing. You can only learn by acting. And I guess it was just pretty cool of us to just start. Most of the time it's us getting together and just start kind of brainstorming. And we just start throwing out ideas for kind of just a topic, you know. And then we come up with a topic. We're like, hey, no, that would be a good podcast. Let's do it.
They've spoken at youth groups, college ministry events. They have devoted followers, many subscribers to their website. They have people interested in learning more about the Sons of Thunder and continuing to get connected to them. But at the heart of it all, these are just normal guys. They're living normal lives, and yet they know what they're passionate about, and they want to share that with other people. And that is absolutely amazing. If you're interested in hearing more about the Sons of Thunder, you can check them out at
www.sonsofthundermn.com.
Right now we're working on getting on Google Play, so people on those Android phones, moment of silence for them, so they can be able to listen to our podcast as well.
We're on the iTunes app.
Find us by searching Sons of Thunder, and then we are the first podcast that shows up.
Yeah, we have the most eye-pleasing logo. So if you see like some clip art Sons of Thunder, it's not us.
Yeah.
No.
There's a couple podcasts that got started like 3 years ago, but stopped after like 6 months.
I want to thank you all for listening. This is Nick Vance, signing off.
Wait.
Yeah.
You did.
The Mando. How long have you been playing the mandolin?
2 months.
Like he wore parachute pants the last time we played. So that's hilarious.
He wore parachute pants. What's that movie? The Disney movie?
Aladdin.
Oh, he was Aladdin.
Aladdin.
He went up and down the crowd and got your card.
Yeah,
that's for sure.